Welcome back. You are listening to Whissel Wednesdays here on AM 1170 The Answer. My name is Kyle Whissel, your host with Whissel Realty. Joined, as always, by Mr. Jason Hall with Team Home Loans and Synergy One Lending. Jason, you brought a special guest in today. You want to introduce your guest for me?
Yeah. Let's see if I can pronounce John Medin. Right, John?
Yep.
I always want to call him something different. You know, me and Mr.
You
Incorrect.
got your own dictionary.
I got
It's
my
cool.
dictionary. You met my brother and my uncle. It's surprised they made it out of there, right?
Right.
I mean, when you look at my family history, John is an expert in the rehab. So if you're listening right now,
You got to clarify a little better because rehab these days means a little something different.
You're right. It could be rehab being something different, right? But John, we hired away from another company for years. John Medin has been helping homeowners purchase and or refinance by remodeling their home. And we'll get into details of how much and how little. A lot of people think it has to be a big rehab. It can be a very small rehab. And again, that's rehabbing a home. And it could be a home that's in perfect condition, John, right? That we just want to add an extra bedroom or maybe you need a garage.
Correct.
I mean, there's different things that we can do and we'll talk about. And doing loans for over 20 plus years, I've done a few of these and it's very difficult to do. And I usually tell my clients, look, you know, you got to be a specialty. We refer you to somebody. I'm not that guy. I want you to work with one of the experts. And we were good enough to have Tori Larson, the president of Synergy One Lending, go out and convince John that Synergy One Lending, one of the Craig Sewing mortgage companies, is the best company to work for John. So, John, thank you for coming in the studio.
Thank you for inviting me here.
Not a problem. I like that Belichick answer. That's good, huh, Paul? We're going to be using that every Wednesday now.
Joe Montana is the greatest quarterback of all time.
Right. So let's talk about the rehab loans. What's going out in 2015? We got 2016 right around the corner. What is going on in the rehab market so that if you're listening right now, you can understand how you can take advantage of working with a great loan program and getting some things done that your wife or that your husband's been wanting to get done for weeks, months, and years. Let's talk about it, John.
Yes, one of the changes that you're seeing in the renovation loan business, or what a lot of laymen call rehab, is a shift away from using it for purchasing to refinance. During the mortgage meltdown, you had all those properties, they were on every street that were a mess. People got mad when they lost them, and so they stole it blind. We've all seen them. They stole all the appliances. They stole all the fixtures, everything out of the place, and so you couldn't use a regular loan to purchase
Kyle
it.
had a listing where somebody stole the toilet. They liked the toilet so much, they stole the toilet out of this little bedroom, this little condo up in Oceanside. I'll never forget. I was talking to a client about this morning because she's buying a HUD property right now, and Kyle's done hundreds of HUD property foreclosures, and it's crazy what you've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody stealing a toilet. Why would somebody steal a toilet, guys?
Oh, there's a place up in Carlsbad. They stole the HVAC unit out of this place. Those things have toxic chemicals in them. They stole everything, including the HVAC system.
Including the toxic, they're probably in cancer right now. Probably in a hospital, right? That's crazy.
But
I just said something wrong because Kyle's looking at Brian, already laughing at what Jason said, John. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but I said another Jason.
Oh, they're in cancer.
What's it called?
You said they're in cancer right now.
Yeah, okay. All right. Was there anybody that misunderstood that? Probably not. But I know it's important to Kyle, so we wanted to make sure we corrected Mr. Hall for that. And John loves it, man. We're having fun. Continue on, John. So
basically, you've seen a shift from that, although it's the perfect vehicle to do that, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But you asked about what the shifts are. You're seeing a shift towards the use of these series of loans to people refinancing to update, remodel, whatever you want to call. For example, what I'm doing right now, all he wants to do is add a $100,000 pool. That's all we're doing. Owns a house, doesn't have enough equity in it.
And that qualifies under the program.
Yep. There are two major programs. One's the FHA program. There are two types of it. We'll get into it later if you want, but that's if you've heard the term 203K, that's the FHA version of the renovation loan.
Okay.
Fanny Mae, on the conventional conforming side of things, they have a product, and they've had for a long time. It is called a Fanny Home Style Rehab. And
so the pool could be on the home style rehab one?
That's correct. So you'll hear people talk all the time, oh, you can't do luxury items with the renovation loan, and so therefore you can't put in a pool and so on and so forth. That is true of the FHA 203K loan. You can fix a pool, but you can't put in a brand new one. Fanny home style rehab, you can basically do just about anything you want, including, as my customer is doing, all he's doing is putting in a $100,000 pool.
Nice. Now let me ask you this. What's the minimum that you can do on a rehab on either program, so that if you're listening right now, you kind of understand what you might be able to do? And what's the max that you might be able to do on a rehab?
Okay, so there's 3 different types of renovation loans, okay? The 3 major ones. There are 2 203K. FHA loans, you can only use it for a primary residence. There's what's called the limited, or in the past it used to be called Streamline.
So that's primary on FHA, but you can actually do investment on conventional. We'll talk about that
correct.
in a second, but I just want to make sure all the listeners, we all know. So,
primary residence only on the FHA 203K.
Okay.
2 types of 203Ks. One's called the limited. It used to be called the Streamline,
Right.
for those who've heard about it before.
And that's how much?
That you technically don't have to do anything. the minimum is 0.
Wow.
Of course, you wouldn't do it.
So what's the max on the limited / Streamline?
So a lot of people, you'll hear and understand the few people who really understand these loans well from you can differentiate them from the people who will say, oh, you can do $35,000 in renovations on the limited program.
Right.
Wrong.
Okay. Let us know why it's wrong.
The reason is because the $35,000 number comes from, it's very technical, but it comes from a worksheet of the FHA and includes a whole series of things, such as part of a people's closing costs.
Give me the answer.
Let me kind of finish this.
I know, but we want to get
costs.
to it. You know how I am.
Rapid. Well, important contingency.
Okay.
That goes into those things. So if you look at all the things,
And a contingency is like we build a 10 or 15% contingency because it usually goes over budget.
Oh,
that's what you're referring to when you say contingency.
It always
because
goes over budget.
The main thing it's for there, however, is you open up a wall and go, uh-oh, we didn't plan for this, and so we use the contingency.
Right.
Now, to net that answer out, it's typically around $31,000 or $32,000 in renovations on the limited. Also, it's limited to, now the reason why it's called that, you cannot do anything structural. Okay, you can't.
So what does that mean?
You
to
cannot,
me, the layman. What does that mean? Structure? What can I can't add a wall?
You cannot add you cannot add any square footage. You can't take any square footage away. You can't move a load-bearing wall.
But I could build a bedroom within an existing structure.
If it's not a,
if I had like a huge big living room, right, Kyle? And I wanted to add like an extra bedroom, I could probably like roll that in, possibly.
You possibly could, depending on whether the wall is load bearing or not. But most people don't use it for that. They're using it for it to change out their appliances, their flooring, and so on and so forth. Because the other 203K, which is called a standard or full, you'll hear that term. The minimum, to answer your question, is $5,000 minimum repairs.
On that one,
okay.
Right.
The Fanny home style rehab, there is no minimum on that either, but obviously you wouldn't do it if there wasn't something that you wanted to use it for.
Right, it only makes sense if you're doing it.
Yep.
Now, how easy, I can tell you again, doing this for over 20 years, I know it's tough for somebody that's used to doing a lot of purchase loans and all of a sudden switching to a purchase rehab loan because all of a sudden there's contractors, there's different forms, different appraisers, all the stuff. I can tell you from a loan officer mentality, it's difficult to do. Now, from somebody who does nothing really but these, is it that hard for you to do?
For me, no, but that's because I've been doing them for 15 years. There's 3 people in the county with the most knowledge and experience of that, and I happen to be one of those 3 people.
Okay.
The challenge really is in getting across to the borrower and the contractors timelines and deadlines.
Right.
The 2 longest delays in all of these, believe it or not, the first is the borrower making decisions and sticking to them. You'd be surprised how often that.
I want to get in real quick. I want to make sure you're listening to 1170 AM, KCBQ, The Answer. And this is Whissel Wednesday, and we're interviewing John Medin. John is an expert in home renovation loan programs. He is an executive at the Synergy One lending team, part of the Craig Sewing Elite mortgage companies. Go on, John. Sorry.
So the largest delay is typically caused by the contractor or contractors. These people are wonderful people. One of my best friends, I know a lot of these folks. They're wonderful people. But they're the people who were in high school looking out the window wondering what they were doing in class, and they took wood shopping, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
They love pounding nails. They're really good at what they do, and they hate paperwork. If you looked at how simple the paperwork is, you would wonder how they're having, so many are having difficulty. They hate the stuff.
Right.
Now, the paperwork's absolutely crucial. And so one of the keys that I do is I put together a closing calendar. Says this is due at this time, this is due at this time, etc. If you don't make those dates, you will be late,
and you won't get paid.
And you
we tell the contract they won't get paid. That's the key. You tell them they won't get paid, they all of a sudden figure out how to do that paperwork, right?
Yeah, and the borrower, you won't close your loan in time
and
get your property. So,
all right, what other tips do you have for us as we're listening right now on rehab? Any other quick things that you want to throw in there, John?
One of the greatest things about these loans, especially if you're purchasing a property, is you almost always get instant equity in the deal.
Nice.
It almost always, I've only had one case where it weren't true, and I used to do 2 or 4 of these a month just myself, let alone now our division's going to, where only one time was the purchase price and the renovation cost altogether not lower than the appraised value. Meaning, say that another way, appraised value almost always comes in higher than the purchase price plus your renovation. So you get instant equity.
Instant equity before you even close? Or?
Yep.
So how does a home renovation work? I mean, are we talking about this is happening during escrow? Does this happen after I get the keys? How does that just kind of make sure the listener understands that, I'm assuming you close the loan, the client takes ownership of the property, gets the keys, then you start the renovation, and then at the close of that renovation, and maybe could be a week to maybe 6 months at the longest, that all of a sudden when that project's closed and the home is reappraised, that's when we're going to have
no, you don't reappraise
equity.
it at the end. You have one appraisal through the whole thing. That's great.
And how do you know we have instant equity?
Because what happens is the appraisal is the key to this whole thing and what makes it work. If you don't have a property in good enough shape to pass an appraisal, you can't get a regular mortgage on it. But you can with the renovation loan because the appraisal is done completely different. It's done on the 2B condition. So you have the property as it is right now. You then have the bids and estimates from the contractors. The appraiser
appraises the future value based on what you're going to do. So if you're going to add that $100,000 pool as an example, hey, here's what the property is currently worth. Here's what it should be worth later.
That's correct.
And then you get that value. So I got it. I would bet that appraisal might be a little bit less on that guy since you put in a $100,000 pool. It's hard to comp that. But
it's
we're
actually going to be higher.
It is going to be higher.
Yes, it is.
Wow. $100,000 pool and the house goes up.
Yep.
Why do you think that is, Kyle? I know we're getting ready to go break, but why would you think that might happen?
Because we live in the most beautiful city in the world, and people want to be outside and enjoy things like a pool.
That's exactly right.
Nice.
I love it. So we're going to head to a break. We're talking with John Medin again at Synergy One Lending about rehabbing houses. When we get back, we're going to talk with Steve Lauria with California Health Network about rehabbing your lifestyle and your body. You are listening to Whissel Wednesdays here on AM 1170, The Answer.
San Diego's home for intelligent, conservative